Chapter 411, Review Committee. The notice had already made it clear that this was no ordinary gathering. Most members of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society didn't split into groups to chat. Instead, they took their customary positions and fixed their eyes on the massive mottled stone chair. 10 minutes past the agreed time, Gandalf, the president in his linen robe, looked around and spoke in a booming voice. "Everyone, I've brought you here for something crucial. We've got a bunch of traitors among us." A bunch of traitors. Even though Professor and the others from the Academy had received Lumien's hint, they hadn't expected the issue to be this severe. It wasn't just one traitor, it was a whole bunch. The ancient palace, though dilapidated, exploded with commotion. Some members of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society were skeptical, while others became instantly wary, suspicious of everyone around. Some thought there might be a problem, but they didn't think it was as bad as Gandalf made it out to be. As they whispered amongst themselves, Hela, her face shrouded in black, spoke with an icy tone. "First, let's have one of the victims share her experience." Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the silence of the night, reaching every member of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society. She then turned her gaze toward the area where the Academy team was positioned. Understanding Hela's intent, Lumien confidently ascended the steps and stood next to the massive, ancient-mottled stone chair. He channeled Auror's emotional reaction if she were to discover the truth about her death, and spoke with a deep, resonant voice. "On April 1st, I acquired a spell known as the Soul Summoning Spell from Mad Lady of the April Fool's team." Without any need for amplification, Lumien's imitation of Auror's voice harnessed the concealed power that saturated the nation of the Evernight, ensuring that everyone present could hear without any leaks. It was evident that Hela had lent her assistance. Lumien, not being a true warlock, couldn't employ supplementary spells himself. Upon hearing this revelation, most members of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society shifted their attention to the palace's crevice housing the April Fool's team. They noticed the conspicuous absence of Mad Lady and a significant number of her team members. They could now infer which group the traitors were affiliated with. Those who had been pranked by the April Fool's team couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. Lumien continued with his account. He didn't immediately divulge Loki and I know someone's confessions. Instead, he reconstructed Auror's emotions. The trust in I know someone, the yearning for home, the obsession with clues, the fascination with Mad Lady's claims, the fear and unease upon discovering a soul fragment fused with her memories after using the soul summoning spell, and the subsequent split into a separate personality, the desperate search for treatment from I know someone, the helplessness and horror from her repeated improvements before repeated deterioration. Lumien's agitation grew as he spoke. At times, he even choked back a sob. Part of this stemmed from his frustration. He had failed to notice Auror's abnormal emotions and state earlier. His relaxed demeanor around those close to him had caused him to overlook subtle changes. By the time he had realized the gravity of the situation, it had already spiraled out of control. Simultaneously, as he recounted and simulated Auror, her fragmented soul seemed to stir and hover near the edge of the seal, exerting an influence on his own psyche. As he neared the end of his narrative, Lumien took a deep breath. "I came perilously close to death because of it. Fortunately, I received assistance at the 11th hour and managed to seal my split personality. That's why I was absent from the gatherings for almost half a year. After my initial recovery, I reached out to Madame Hela and recounted my encounter. We began our covert investigation into Loki, I know someone, and Mad Lady. Hela took charge of the conversation. So far, Loki has revealed a significant number of issues and has been dealt a severe blow from our actions. I know someone, on the other hand, was apprehended by Muggle and the rest, resulting in the extraction of a wealth of information." As Hela noticed the growing fear and concern among the members of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society, she recounted Loki's mockery of Muggle, and I know someone's intricate schemes. This revelation stoked the flames of fury within most of the Research Society's members, and they began to grasp the reasons behind Muggle and Hela's actions. Hela surveyed the assembled crowd and continued, Muggle wasn't the sole victim of their malevolence. Many members who had previously met untimely ends or disappeared were also targeted. Now, let's invite a few witnesses up. With that, several witnesses, including Black Earth and other April Fool's team members, took the stage one by one to share what they knew. Their accounts sent shivers down the spines of the curly-haired baboons Research Society members, leaving them with a lingering fear. It became abundantly clear that if Muggle hadn't survived and exposed their true colors, countless more individuals could have fallen prey to their schemes. After the witnesses had concluded their accounts, President Gandalf presented the evidence, including diaries and items. Finally, he addressed the assembly. According to I Know Someone's confession, we've managed to eliminate Loki's accomplices who were embedded in other teams. Among them, Pettigrew took his own life, overwhelmed by guilt. He was a good person but lacked determination and courage. If he had reached out to Hela and me earlier and hinted at the situation more effectively, many unfortunate events might have been averted. He wouldn't have had to carry this heavy burden. As sighs rippled through the audience, Gandalf's resonant voice grew stronger. Everyone, we've only dealt with those accomplices known to I Know Someone. It's entirely possible that there are still spies embedded in various teams, loyal only to Loki. I propose the formation of a review committee consisting of Hela, myself, and 3 other trusted companions who have already undergone mutual reviews. Our mission will be to assess the remaining members and root out any hidden threats. We'll take decisive action against Loki and his allies. Members of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society hesitated, concerned that this move would expose their secrets and realities to the review committee. If any ambitious individuals were part of this committee, they could potentially exploit the information to manipulate and control members, posing a more significant threat than Loki's gang. Gandalf remained observant, waiting for their deliberations before adding, "Do not be overly concerned. Our review process won't delve into your personal secrets or true identities. The primary goal is for the review committee to draft a stringent contract that ensures Research Society members won't harm each other. Everyone will sign it, and the contract will be notarized by Apollo. We don't care which deity you believe in, your real-world profession, or your hidden secrets. As long as you pose no threat and don't become hidden time bombs, you will be fine. This limitation will be clearly outlined in the contract." Apollo, one of the 5 vice presidents, was known by a different nickname before. However, one day, he had unexpectedly approached the massive stone chair and announced his new moniker. He had already successfully passed Gandalf and Hela's scrutiny. In comparison to a comprehensive body-to-soul review, signing a binding contract to ensure each other's safety seemed far more acceptable to the members of the Curly-Haired Baboons Research Society. After a show of hands, the review committee was officially established with nearly unanimous support. The committee comprised 5 members: President Gandalf, Vice President Hela, Vice President Apollo, Hidden Blade from the Sanctuary team, and Headmaster from the Academy team. Hela had initially suggested that Muggle join the review committee, but Lumion felt that, given that he wasn't truly Muggle, it wouldn't be appropriate for him to hold such a position. Thus, he rejected Hela's proposal. As the vote passed, Lumion overheard Hidden Blade Franca mutter, "Humans are still the same. If you want to open a window, there will always be plenty of objections. But if you propose to tear down the roof, they'll happily agree to let you open the window." Upon noticing Muggle's gaze, Hidden Blade Franca added, "I didn't say that." Subsequently, the members split into groups to discuss the terms of the contract. Their aim was to ensure that it contained no extraneous content and that it could effectively expose traitors and harmful actions without any loopholes. As Lumion descended the steps, he noticed Hidden Blade Franca engaged in conversation with a tall individual wearing a lion headgear. As he approached, the lion-headed man turned to her and offered a smile. "Muggle, you're in the Market District too." "Seven, why do you say that?" Franca asked with deliberate curiosity. "That's Seven who's affiliated with an official faction in Trier." Lumion nodded and smirked. "Just because you're active in the Market District doesn't necessarily mean you live there." "That's true," Seven replied, then turned to Hidden Blade with a hint of jest in his voice. You've already told me about that terrifying aura that night, and today you mentioned Loki and the others' betrayal. It would have been strange if I couldn't connect the dots and figure out that it was Madame Hela, you, and Muggle dealing with Loki, and I know someone in the market district. Besides, I heard about a Mariontist going missing from Bureau 8 during that time, and it matched the abilities Loki displayed. At this point, Seven looked at Hidden Blade and Muggle in puzzlement. None of you are Beyonders of the Hunter pathway. The higher-ups suspected that the terrifying aura had been emitted by a high-level Beyonder of the Hunter pathway. Can we create that terrifying aura ourselves? It must be exogenous. Franca was telling the truth, but she was deliberately misleading him into thinking about charms, sealed artifacts, and so on. As Seven nodded slowly in contemplation, Lumion focused on him and inquired, "What's the official stance of Bureau 8 regarding the missing Mariontist? Why do they believe he disappeared?"